A senior minister, Lee Hsien Loong, says political leaders must work hand in glove with the public service to deliver a good government and steady progress. And when it comes to tough decisions, they must also have the courage to win the people's mandate. He says this is something that is very rare in the world. Mr. Lee was speaking at the annual Public Service Leadership Ceremony. Nasyrah Rohim reports.
You exemplified integrity. Your call to us remains clear, to uphold the highest standards of integrity, because it is essential to building trust with the citizens that we serve.
This tribute to former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong by the head of civil service highlights the crucial role that public service plays in Singapore's success. Earlier, Senior Minister Lee said in his speech that political stability is the result of good ministers and a good public service working closely together. Mr. Lee says that ministers who are decisive and give clear directions will command the most respect from their officials.
You also know that it makes no sense to claim that it's easy to be a minister in Singapore because we already have such a capable public service, as some people do. Indeed, we have a very capable public service. But on the contrary, the stronger the public service, the better the political leadership needs to be. Because only then can the ministers command respect from their officials, lead them effectively, and get the best performance out of the team.
Such political stability should not be taken for granted. As Mr. Lee said, other countries also have committed public servants and political leaders. But once doing the right thing is not politically feasible, some of them resort to populism to stay in power.
Take public finance, for example. In many countries, politicians are more than happy to promise higher subsidies or increase social spending. But funding these expenses is a different matter altogether. As a result, these countries run up deficits which grow over time, and eventually things get out of hand.
Here in Singapore, political leaders make difficult but correct decisions, even if that means costing some votes. Mr. Lee cites the example of raising the goods and services tax from 7% to 9%. The ministers made sure to keep the public informed, reassuring them of support measures to help them cope. Meanwhile, the public officers did their part by designing and implementing support packages. Such cooperation is vital in making long-term decisions for the best interests of the country.
Each will need to do its part so that together the political leadership and the public service can come up with good policies, persuade Singaporeans to support them, and make the policies succeed. And, if I may say so, therefore, enable our politics to succeed. We must do our best to keep our government functioning in this way for as long as we can.
Looking ahead, Mr. Lee says Singapore has a full agenda to boost the economy and care for an aging population amid formidable domestic and global challenges. As Singaporeans' demands on the government will rise along with their aspirations, Mr. Lee says a strong political leadership is more crucial than ever.
As growth becomes harder to come by, as revenues become less buoyant, as our politics become more fiercely contested, things can go wrong for us too. If electoral margins get slimmer, the government will have less political space to do the right thing. It will become harder to disregard short-term considerations in decision-making. The political dynamics will become very different. Singaporeans must understand the dangers this creates, and so must the public service.